Hey, how's it going? So we're doing a little bit of work on the truck. I installed that big black rubber thing you see up in there. That's called a Summo spring right there, and that's adding more stability to the trailer. I mounted it to the chassis, the frame of the trailer, and then the bottom part's mounted to this, which is actually the suspension spring. There's a shock absorber right here, right? You see it right there? But what this is doing is keeping the trailer from wobbling side to side, and it gets momentum because it's not really, it wasn't really built or structured to be without the front part of the truck on there. So when it got created and made into a trailer, it kind of off balanced it. I mean, it's balanced, but when you go down the road and you hit uneven roads or bumpy stuff, that trailer gets side to side motion because of the weight of the trailer in the cab of the truck, and so it causes some momentum to happen, and it actually is kind of dangerous. So we ordered these online, installed them. The other side's lined up perfectly. This one, if you see the bottom there, you can kind of see where it looks like it's off-centered. That bottom two, that big black dongle thing, the bottom there is two rings. They look like they're not centered. And so all I need to do is go in there and basically loosen. I got to jack up the frame, and then it'll give me space, and then I can loosen the nut. I move that thing forward a little bit towards the wheel here. It'll move this way out towards the outside of the truck, and then it'll be lined up perfectly. Tighten down that bolt, lower it back down, and it's perfect, good to go. So pretty easy process, but it's something that needs to get done. It could work like this, but it'll work a lot better if it's lined up perfectly. So that's our plan. And I didn't show the installation of this thing because I was just so busy getting it done one day with my dad, and he helped me. It was amazing. We got it done. And you might have seen some of that in the earlier video. But again, this is just getting it lined up perfectly, and then we'll be done with it. All right, peace. This is lined up really nicely now, and that's what we needed. So, and it's locked in place. It ain't going anywhere. Right on, we're done. Cool. That wasn't too hard. There was more time in setting it up and getting everything in place in the jack stand, because I had to use a concrete block and some wood just to get up under that frame, but we got it accomplished. All done. All right. What a big, busy day it was. Peace out. Hey, how's it going? So we're going for our daily walk, Wanagi. I bring her up here. It's a park up above where I live, a kind of a half park, half wild area. But it's a good place to go for a dog walk. You can see all the brush out here is grown out. It's growed out. No, it's grown out. But it's pretty amazing. All these, look, these mustard seed-like plants. These are those yellow flowers on there. And then the brush, it's just kind of roaring hills and brush and stuff. And then there's cliffs on the other side of all this that we walk along, and you can look down into Huntington Beach. But she likes coming here because it's better than walking down a sidewalk. It's a little wild, lots of things to smell and all that. And sometimes you'll even see wild coyotes running around out here. So it's kind of cool, but we'll bring you along. Cool. Hey, let's go. Come on. She just likes smelling everything. Oops. Hey, let's go. Come on. Wanagi.
Come on, let's go. She has a good time out here. Little Miss Wanagi. I wish I could share the smell of everything out here because it's all these desert plants and it's kind of like a sweet, I don't know how to describe it. It's an amazing smell though. There's a lot of kind of floral flowers from these mustard seed kind of plants, right? And there's a nice little breeze now, so it's nice and cool out, but man, it's just beautiful. And look up here, some of the brush is literally 8 feet tall. It's way overhead. It's great now, beautiful, but when it dries out, this is Southern California, so it's June. Oh, it's end of May right now, so we get this thing we call it June gloom. So that out there, that's Pacific Ocean over there, and so this is all this kind of grayish, kind of foggy looking stuff is what we call June gloom. And so because we're so close to the ocean, there's this inversion layer that comes in the evening, early morning, and that kind of sticks around, and that's what you're seeing right now. But it'll burn off, and then all this brush here is going to dry out, and it's going to be major fire danger up here because it's so tall and there's a lot of homes around. But for now, it's nice and green, and she just loves the smells. I do too. It smells nice walking around here. It's kind of natural, yeah. So you can see the brush is already starting to get taller and thicker. And then straight ahead of us, there's like a cliffside. Normally we'd go out and we'd sit along the cliffside out here, but the brush is so tall you can't even almost see off the cliff in the Huntington Beach. Hooky dooky doo! So kind of a cool fact of up here, right, is if you see on the ground, look here, all this white stuff on the ground, this is all seashells. Look, you can tell, all seashells, scallops and clams and stuff. They look like mostly bits and pieces of scallop shells. Well, this whole lower area here, right, used to be an estuary that would go out towards the Pacific Ocean, which is straight out that way. And there's a thing called the Santa Ana River Trail. It's a riverbed. It's a river in Southern California here, and it's a watershed. And so basically all this low-lying area below us down here used to be filled with clams and mussels and shells. And there was indigenous people that lived on this bluff I'm standing on right here for thousands and thousands of years before the West was won essentially by Europeans, and so all Native Americans. But again, you can see these are just bits and pieces of shell that the Native Americans would be down here, all the indigenous people, and they would collect them, and then they would bring them up top here on the bluff where they had their homes, their huts or their teepees, or however they lived up here. And they would break those shells on rocks and eat. And so it was a foraging society that would catch fish, mussels, clams, all that kind of stuff down here in this low-lying area. And obviously now it's filled with homes. That's all Huntington Beach out there, and Newport Beach is that way. But this is a whole bluff system here, and this is actually the cliffside here. So we'll walk along the cliffside here. So here you kind of get a better view of down below here. There's a park. Part of the park is down there in the flat area. But even as a kid, I used to come up here, and it was before this was all developed, and we would come in on I was like, 11, 12 years old, and all the street kids, or the kids from my street, we'd all bring our bikes here and we'd ride these dirt tracks, right? There were pathways through the brush here off the cliffside, and we had names for them like Murdering Mary Trail or Death Trail or whatever. And it was because they had all sorts of like grooves, and it looked like this, essentially like this trail, but they were really steep. As a kid, I remember being scared to go down them because they seemed so steep. Nowadays I'm like, they don't seem as bad, but they were like this kind of thing, and they just kind of go down through the brush like this, and we didn't know what was at the bottom. We'd ride our bikes down through there like daredevils, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, I think Wanagi sees a squirrel or something. He's all excited. But man, look at all the brush here and stuff, and it's really kind of cool out. There's a little bit of a breeze, and you can just smell the flowers and the desert plants and stuff, and it really is nice. It's pleasant. It kind of even reminds me of my youth, is camping. We would go up in the high desert and go backpack with my dad. Well, not really backpacking, but we'd go camping and set up tent, and I was like probably 10 or 11, you know, and it was awesome. And this smell always reminds me of that, kind of like flashback to my youth. But you can really, up here, we'll be able to look off the cliff, and there's a really nice wild area down below here. Look at all these cool flowers up here on the top. They're like daisies. I don't think they're daisies. They might be a form of daisy, kind of. But look down below us here, all that green down there. And there's paths down there too. And there's actually a pack of coyote lives down there. I've seen about 6 or 7 all together hunting rabbits one time. It was pretty cool. And then that bike trail, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually it almost looks like, here you can see where the bridge is right down there. That's a bike trail, and that goes all the way down to Huntington Beach down there, which is kind of cool, right to the ocean. And when we were little kids, my dad and my sister and I, we used to go on our bicycles, and my dad would take us all the way down to the beach down there, and we'd bring fishing rods, and it was my first experience of fishing, and we'd catch these little spiky fish with these little spikes on their back. I don't know what they were, maybe some sort of little rockfish or something, but it was awesome. It was so fun, and yeah, cool memory. Getting old, you remember all those fun times when you were a kid. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, it smells good up here. It's amazing. There's even a lake here, and it's not a deep lake. It's just kind of right on the other side of these this fence and this brush right there out in the middle. And it's actually like only gets probably about 3 or 4 inches deep after a huge rain, but then it holds the mud and the water in there. And then what happens is just a certain time of the year when it rains like that, these dormant shrimp, it's like a little sea monkey shrimp, they're really tiny little things, not like a normal shrimp you'd eat, like a prawn on a shrimp cocktail. They're much smaller, and they live out here in this flat area, and they have for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so when it rains, they're dormant in the mud, or that's dried up, right? They kind of bury down in there and stay there in a dormant state. And then when the rain happens, the eggs hatch out, and a new population of shrimp comes along, lives there for a couple weeks, and then as the dirt dries up again, they lay eggs and go dormant again, to come back years later if we have drought. They stay there, they can stay there for years, and then once it rains again, they hatch out again. It's kind of cool. But that's it right here in front of us, this kind of flat area space where there's no brush out there. You can see it, it's right out there, and it's a big long dry lake bed basically, and they have magic shrimp. Maybe sea monkeys, that's where sea monkeys come from. Yeah. See, look, she knows. They have like a doggy water fountain, fills up with water. Pretty cool. But she just knows. She knows right where to go. Little Wanagi. She got her whole little routine down. We come here a lot, that's why. You're thirsty. You thirsty, Wanagi? Yeah? Okay. Well, we had fun. Got a little... Wanagi got a little exercise, I got a little exercise, we both need it. Yeah, back to my parents' house. We've been back to my parents' house. We've been editing videos for ever since we've been back for a couple weeks. I had over 8 hours of footage from Baja. I mean, over 8 hours. And so I had to break that up into little episodes, do editing, and then all that stuff, mix in the drone footage with a lot of it. And so that's what we've been mostly doing, and we finally finished that. So we're ready for our next adventure, next trip, start gathering content for my channel,
and share with you guys. So anyways, that's it for dog walk day today, and we're gonna head back to my parents' house, probably grab some lunch, and yeah, cool. Peace out.